Hello and welcome to Youth Today on Television Nigeria. As always, the program is aimed at inspiring, getting young people involved in both common and national issues. My name is Caesar, your regular host on Television Nigeria. Today we are going to be discussing a very, very unique topic. As 2019 election draws near, a lot of people are more concerned about who becomes the next president. You'll sell your votes, let's discuss the issues, the young people are getting involved, everybody gets your PVC, join a political party. Today we're going to be discussing a little bit close to the whole election process, but the business part of the election. We call it the business in election. How do you make legitimate money off the system? Legitimate, the word, emphasis on the word legitimate money off the system. Like every process, the World Cup is coming up, people will be playing football. There are so many businesses around the World Cup, and people are making good money out of the World Cup. Now, 2019 election is coming. There are so many ways around the election where people can make legitimate money, apart from thuggery and selling their votes and all that. So this is a legitimate way to make money not in politics, in election, in the electionary process. And to discuss this beautiful, wonderful topic with me is a public affairs analyst, is an entrepreneur, and also an inspirational speaker. Is Mr. Datsen Obo. Mr. Datsen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Caesar.
Oh,
I glad to be here.
I pronounced the name well.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Alright, straight to the topic.
Okay.
The business in election. Can you just let our people know first what is the term business in election, what it entails?
Well, I think that the term business in election is, if we break it down so that even the common man on the street will understand, it has to do with what sort of businesses that entrepreneurs can cash into in terms of benefiting from the forthcoming election process. There's several of those businesses. We'll outline a few and talk about a few as we proceed.
Okay, before we begin to outline those few, we
Yeah.
have to create that clear distinction between selling your votes or selling your conscience and doing the right business in the politics. So can you just explain that this part is not the part where you exchange, but money actually exchange hands.
Of course.
And service is good.
Of course.
So how do we differentiate?
Well, to clarify and set some perspective, I think what you basically are talking about is like we have a process in Nigeria and we wish it wasn't so, that when it comes to election, people are thinking, how do I make money? And they're not thinking, how do I make legitimate money? They're not thinking, how do I set up a business? How do I engage myself in meaningful activity? How do I solve a problem? With any endeavor, any human endeavor, there lies opportunities that people can begin to take advantage of. So people, especially like we're focused on young people today, so let's talk about young people being involved in that whole process of, you mentioned thuggery, you mentioned selling votes, and there's going to be people who will be paid to steal ballot boxes. That's not the kind of business that we're talking about. But we're, just to clarify that quickly, what we're looking at is how forward-thinking people can look at this whole process and say, within this process, I'm able to take advantage of this event that's about to happen, which is very, very paramount in our history as Nigerians.
Okay. Nigeria is a very sentimental country.
Yeah.
Our sentiment is over the roof. Like I normally say, sometimes I think our biggest problem is not even corruption, like we say. Our biggest problem is sentiment. Now, sentiment and business. Now, how can I offer a service to a particular candidate and people don't tie me to that candidate, no matter how legitimate the business is?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, it's a thing that most real business people experience. For example, if you own a hotel and there's going to be a political rally close to wherever you are, and because you are well known, people understand that you have personal preferences, and your preferences or allegiances does not go down well with them, obviously they will not patronize your business. So that's something we face. It's the reality of what most entrepreneurs who are also actively involved in business, that's what they face. So if you own a restaurant or you own some form of business that provides services to the whole arrangements with elections and all that, they tend to boycott your particular business. And then, of course, your business will be limited to those people who are within your party. If you can get it.
Who like you or who you are sympathetic to?
Who you're definitely involved in supporting, basically. I think that's what usually happens. So if I'm seen to be actively involved with one political party, I'm there for the rallies, I'm there, and people know that I'm very vocal in terms of my support for that political party or for that particular candidate, then the tendency for them to want to do business with me is there. But I had a conversation with a particular business person, and he said that a particular political party had asked him, because he's involved in developing youth in entrepreneurship, so they've asked him to come so that they could use that as a platform to more or less, they will support him, but use it as a platform to also campaign and all that. But he, in thinking about it, he knew that that would be like shooting himself in the foot, because he would also draw the line, a line in the sand, like they say, and basically just remove himself from the other people that belong to the other political parties. So he just basically declined that offer and said he would like his particular event to be as neutral as possible. I think that's what business people should be thinking about doing. Now, after the election, I still have to survive. So you have to think about your business first, and just basically keep a neutral stance. At the end of the day, when you vote to vote, it's not something that you publicize in terms of where you're...
But Nigerians will always attach you to the person that is so close to you.
Exactly.
So no matter how on that ballot paper you voted in the next person. Now, let's business is about making profit.
Sure.
We're discussing business and election.
Yeah.
Now, let's bring conscience into business now.
Okay.
Most people, like we've always complained, young people always complain because there's this clamor now, young people should get involved in politics, even contest positions. I have a number of young people that are going to be running for president, for as high as the president. So, and we are complaining that funds is a major issue for running the election.
Yeah.
Now, as a businessman, it's about making profit.
Okay.
Now, I have a wonderful service that can go, and the person that I'm sympathetic to doesn't have the funds to cash in.
Okay.
And somebody that's I'm not sympathetic to his cause, I don't really, but he has the money. So business-wise, will it be a business decision to go for?
That's a very tricky scenario to paint. But at the end of the day, it boils down to the individual. Some people are able to separate sentiment from business, to understand that this is business, is not personal. And now, there's also a place of loyalty. If someone is my friend and is contesting for political office, and I'm faced with the option of helping my friend out or selling out to the other political or his opponent because I want to...
When you use the word selling out,
or selling to the person, it feels like a seller.
Yes.
It feels like you're not a loyal person and all that, and you are obviously taking your business to someone who can pay you more money, and obviously that would affect your relationship. So I'm saying it's a question of value. What do you value the most? Do you value the money, or you also value your relationship with that person? Well, at the end of the day, it still boils down to how well you are able to manage that situation. If you're able to still service the person who's paying you, and it will not affect your friend, who says you can't service both of them? For example, if I have a company that's an ICT company and I'm building content and trying to get people to support you online, of course I can do that for two different candidates or two separate people, and without it clashing with one another. At the end of the day, it's the masses that ultimately decides who wins the vote.
Who wins the vote? But politics and election,
Yes.
like you said, it's just the people, and you are one man. You go, you might actually assist the other person with your service,
Yes.
but you go there and vote for the other person. Well, there are phases in politics.
Sure.
Some people, your voting is just one vote, but sometimes you might be attached to a particular person, and everybody that is following, they will not come and ask you, "Oh, are you supporting this person?" They just say, "It's your business." Mr. Datsun and Sons Nigeria Limited powering a particular campaign. They just say, "Oh, Mr. Datsun is for this person," and you have successfully given that person.
No, but as a business person, that's not a wise thing to do. For instance, if you run a printing press and then your friend is saying, "I want you to print a number of posters for me as your own contribution to my political campaign." But as a business person, you know, if you do that and then you put the name of your company or you put your personal name on that, endorsing that particular banners that you've printed, that ultimately sells a message that would not work in your best interest, because the other people feel you are behind that particular person, and they wouldn't bring their business to you, of course.
Now, before I go deep into this, I want us to talk about some of those avenues, some of those ways that young people can actually cash in and make legitimate money. Let's start with the first one. What is
Okay, well, for me as an entrepreneur, what I look at within any endeavor is what are the problems that are associated with politics. There's a problem for transportation. People will need to move from one place to the other. So people who have buses or have car hire services will begin to experience more businesses within this period. That's one. Now, obviously, people will eat. So if you run a catering service and there's a particular group of people who will gather in a particular place, they will need to eat. They will need to have refreshments. So that's another. People with catering services are also have an opportunity to make money from that particular process. And then, of course, there's the group people who are ICT inclined, there's the bloggers, there's people who generally develop content online. They are also going to make money in this whole forthcoming election. And we've talked about hotels, so people need accommodation. So basically what the entrepreneur needs to begin to do is, when you think consciously, I'm just thinking now about these elections that's coming, what would people need? If you find out what people would need within the area that you are, and then you begin to see how best can I provide this particular service. It might sound funny, but people that rent these what they call those mobile toilets, that's another opportunity for people to make money. So you are thinking, the entrepreneur, one characteristics of an entrepreneur is that he's consistently thinking about ways to make money, thinking about ways, who can I speak to, who can I, politicians, of course, not all of them are able to sell themselves or to brand themselves. So you have graphic artists, you have people who develop animations. Animators can also make money. There's 2D animations, 3D animations. All these people who are skilled in particular areas can make money from the process. It's all about finding out what you can do. Sometimes you also find that the politicians or the political parties do not know that they need something until you develop it. So the entrepreneur develops it and he puts forth a proposal to them and say, if you do this, this would be something that's suitable for you. So there's a lot of t-shirt printing, umbrella printing. Those are branding services that will come forth.
I want to pick on content development.
Okay.
It has to be very, very technical.
Yes.
Because that place of sentiments and that place of who to follow and who to pay. Now, if
who to follow and who to pay.
Who to pay.
Clarify.
Yes, who should I follow? Who should I give my votes? Who should I give my support to? And who will pay me more?
Okay.
That's who to follow and who to pay. Now, if I'm a content developer, and right now there's much hunger in this country, in some quarter, but some people are eating, but in general, not everybody keep complaining that
yes.
Now, on that empty stomach, I see the future. And I write a very wonderful proposal for somebody that is not a very popular candidate to win. And I sell that proposal to the person. And the person doesn't buy it. And I sell it to the other person seemingly not very popular among the people, but have the money to pay me, and I end up making that person win. For the general public, is that a good business for Nigeria, for the country at large, or for me, it's a good business? So it's still a place of sentiment. That's what I'm trying to bring in. I don't know how to push it out. It's that's for hotels.
Yeah.
You're doing your hotel business. Anybody can come and actually sleep in your hotel.
So I think you must also, I started on saying that a business person is able to separate his personal sentiments from business. Now, one thing that successful business people do is that they are able to separate themselves from their business. You're not your business. You get, so if with that understanding, you know that this is business, I'm providing a service. Whoever is willing, you can have a product you want to sell, and then you have a buyer and you say you will not sell because of whatever personal sentiments you have.
Because of the country. So, but we're going to come back. I'm going to take a very short break.
Yeah.
Because there are some businesses that you cannot disassociate from you.
Certainly.
Once you enter, it's you and it's your business and everybody can see you. We're going to take a very short break, and when we return, we're going to look at other issues, those same business and sentiments, and how we can cash in 2019 general election. Thank you for staying tuned. It's still Youth Today on Television Nigeria, and we're still discussing the business in election. And Mr. Datson is still in the house. He has told us some ways young people can actually cash in. Not actually cash in like just make all the money once, but several ways as a young entrepreneur that you can actually make some good money, some good legitimate money off the system. Talked about hoteliers, food vendors, as people gather transportation. I'm talking about transportation.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a transport company, Nigeria being a very sentimental country, I always say it. And you can't remove yourself from your business. Let's say I don't want to call a particular transport company. These people, they contract companies to do this transportation for them. And they come to you, want to use your transport company to mobilize this number of people to convey this number of people to a particular campaign. One way or the other, your name must appear. So what do you do?
I still stand by my earlier statement when I said you're able. Yes, of course, there's that particular perception, which is something that's difficult for you to imagine that you can actually separate yourself from your business. For example, if you've mentioned like hoteliers, if I own a hotel and it's within my constitutional right to have a preference in terms of who I want to vote. But that doesn't mean that I will say if you are of a particular political party, you won't come to my hotel. I really don't. Anybody is allowed to come into my business and do business with me.
But in a situation where we start seeing prosecution, maybe like in Nigeria, there were so many people persecuted because they were perceived to have supported the previous government or the opposition government with services. So how do you
if we throw more light to it? Let me just use a particular transport company. Let's say like God is Good, for example, and then a particular political party wants to hire their vehicles, right? And it is possible that the owner of the company is not even aware of that business.
A lot of people are very skeptical doing business for politicians in Nigeria. Like there was a post I did recently that as a young person, because I am supporting this person doesn't mean we are enemies. Now, just for saying that, so that it get clear, not that you're already supporting the person. They have not seen you supporting anybody. And now they now see you offering services to that person. Let's bring it home. As a musician, or a comedian, or an entertainer. Now you were hired to actually entertain the crowd that were there. For that, there is no way you can come out and say, I don't support this person.
No, in that particular sense of the word, it becomes difficult. It takes a politician who is mature in their reasoning to understand that it's all about the money for that particular music artist. No, we even had situations where you have Nollywood actors coming just to dance and show their face, just to also attract people to come in and to lend their support to a particular candidate. That happens obviously, but I think that's something that business-minded people would face. So you really can't do much about it.
Yeah, because Nigeria is one very wonderful place. Aside even entertainers, real businesses. Now it's not even the politicians now that we're even talking of. Your friends. Now, if you go on social media, the showery of this world, the Fela, a lot of these young people that use their platform to, maybe they were paid to actually run this campaign for the present president, which is Buhari, and now they are being castigated because they use their platform. Don't you think young people now will be very skeptical? Or they want to go all the way, make sure they play politics about it and do the business?
Well, if I would respond to that, you see, it's if you develop yourself in such a way where people do not really care what your political affiliations may be, or if you develop the product that is of so much high value, there are people who might be in that particular space that they need you, whether or not they like it or not. So if you've developed yourself to that point where they know that they actually need you. For example, in American politics, of course, you have people who are talented in such a way they can rally people around, they can mobilize people and get things happening and get people supporting you that much. So when you find that particular person, you know that it's a business for him or for her. So if I'm coming in as your publicist and I'm the one who basically sells you to the market, so I'm a salesperson and I know what the people want. I know that there are certain things you would do that will not resonate very well with the people. So I'm able to package you in such a way that people begin to vote for you. So if I'm very good, you won't really care about my political affiliation. All you need is that service that I'm offering you. So that's what I'm saying. That if entrepreneurs, even in the Nigerian context, would also spend time to develop themselves and create good quality content. We're talking about content developers, we're talking about branding people. So if you're creating good quality content, all right, in terms of even the designs that you do, people will come to you. People will come to you, and then you make it clear to them that in terms of your political affiliations, that's best known to you. You don't want to be seen attending rallies and jumping around and doing all that. Even if you have to support, it's possible to support your friends quietly and nobody would, because that generally these perceptions that we have, they are real. You find people who don't want to do business with you because of the perceptions that they have of your own personal political affiliations.
I don't know. I don't know if you have really been in the Nigerian political space for a while. Have you been? Are you really
not actively involved? But obviously I'm a Nigerian, so I follow the trends, and that's how much I'm involved.
Because there's a point I want to bring out.
Okay.
And I've said it before.
Okay.
The hungry man that has something to offer and is selling it. Because sometimes these are politicians. I don't know how you can just be in your space and be making wave and they will come to you. Because sometimes I know I can offer a particular service and I need to sell it to this person. And this person, these points that you are bringing out, that you need to be able to separate your business. You need to be able to tell the politicians. No, in Nigeria, it's the politicians that will tell you. No, you need to come. They need to see you. You need to be there. Or don't you want to support me? You understand? So it's difficult. It's difficult. So as a young politician, as a young businessman, do you really need to be inside the politics to be able to render these services? Or do you think as a young politician you must be inside the politics, given the Nigerian context?
Of course. Obviously we find people who are inside the politics like you described, who are also given the opportunity to provide services because they are inside. Now, there's certain other people who provide services that should cut across. You understand? Because if you have a wider target market, let's say you have a target market of 100 million people,
and you know that you being actively involved in one political party will give you 30 million or give you 50 million out of those people, when you should be reaching out to 100 million people who would probably buy the product or service that you offer. So I don't think that is a wise business decision for you to begin to tie yourself down to that place. And chances are, even with that 50 million, you get 10% patronage for your product or your service, and at the end of the day, you have, you know, killed your chances of making money from the other 50% on the other side. So from day one, if you make it, for example, if you come to me, if I'm providing a particular service, and then you come to me, and I'll be nice with you. That's what is expected of me. I have good customer service skills. I'll be nice in terms of how I approach you, and I deal with you as a client. You get? So that's something that Nigerian young people who are in business should also be able to do. If you tell me to come for your rallies, I may not be able to do so, but I can offer you exceptional service that at the end of the day, when you're looking at what I'm doing, you know that I've offered you value for money.
Okay, so now let's talk personally.
Okay.
Let's talk personally.
Yeah.
Has any political party approached or are you sympathetic of a political party?
Well, at this time, my vote basically lies with the Nigerian people, with Nigeria as a country. I think that any person who is sympathetic towards Nigeria will begin to think beyond the politics as we describe it, as we see it in present times, to the point that we're looking at nation building, we're looking at moving Nigeria forward. What are those things that we need to begin to do to ensure that Nigeria becomes a country that every single one of us will be proud of? So I think that's where my focus is more than to say that I'm actively involved, because we've seen, obviously, regardless of what name they go by, is if you are standing outside and looking in, you'll see that it's basically the same thing generally, if you want to be truthful. That we're looking forward to a Nigeria where people are not placed in positions with regards to their support to a particular political party, but they are placed in positions because they have the intellectual know-how, the capacity and the capability to deliver on the things that they've been assigned to do. I think that's the only way we will move forward as a nation.
So, do you subscribe? So it's not about following. Well, you know, when you say you subscribe to the Nigerian project, so to Nigerian people, you know, sometimes it can be misleading because the masses might be tilted towards a very, very wrong, seemingly wrong path.
The thing is, if we're getting close to the election year, and it will narrow down to who is contesting for the big job, right? So if we are able to look at all the candidates on the table, and I'm saying if I have to choose from this candidate. If I had my way, I would have other candidates on that list. You get me? Because like I said, my focus is how do we move Nigeria forward. Whenever I have a list of candidates, I would personally want to look at their profile. I have to profile them and see who best within the lot is able to deliver or move us forward as a nation.
So you do not subscribe to these not too young people planning to take over, we just want to take over?
I subscribe to it 100%. I think it's time for young people to wake up. I think it's time for young people to begin to maximize their potential in that way, to realize that a lot of times we think that we don't have what it takes to hold political office, but I think it's not true. I think that young people are talented, maybe inexperienced, but you can learn on the job. If you have the interest, you have the passion, but the danger I see is that most young people, yes, we complain that our leaders have failed us, we complain that our leaders have not brought us to where we should be, and that's why you find a lot of young Nigerians living in the country looking for greener pastures. But when you now come to the point, you see these young people doing the same thing, and doing politics out of like stomach infrastructure and just basically engaging in politics because of how much you want to make. So you find someone who didn't really have much, and then he now holds political office, is thinking about houses he wants to buy overseas. And I think that there needs to be a paradigm shift, that young people should, that want to be in power, maybe a councillor, local government chairman, governor, or whatever,
should begin to think, how do I make a difference? How do I make a mark? I say to people that in this life, people are not remembered for how many houses they bought, they're not remembered for how many cars they bought, but they are remembered for their contribution to life, to society. That we can look back and say, I'm grateful for this particular politician who came into the system within a particular space and time, and they were able to make a difference. They were able to affect people, challenge people, and help people move forward.
Helping people move forward, helping this country move forward. That's going to be the big catch for 2019. Just to move this country to a better place where everybody dream of being an older person or a younger person.
Yes, exactly.
Or preferably a younger person.
Preferably
a younger person. Before we go, because my producers are already giving me a sign now.
Okay.
Buhari's declaration 2019. Is it no for you?
You want me to talk about my
All we leave Buhari. Another thing I'd like to pick to end my program is competence over integrity. What would you pick?
Competence over integrity. Okay, that's a tricky one. But I'll pick integrity.
You pick integrity.
Yes.
Alright, Mr. Danson said you pick integrity over competence. We'd like to talk about it some other time so that you can actually portrays it, but we're out of time. Thank you very much for staying tuned and watching Youth Studio on Television Nigeria. My name is Caesar. Please follow us on all our social media handle. On YouTube is Television Nigeria, and on Facebook is Television Nigeria. Stay blessed and God bless.